Chuck, thank you so much for jumping on today.
Great to meet you, Phil. Yes, sir.
So I'm here today with Chuck Stovall. I'll let him introduce himself in a second. But before that, a little bit about the show and about me. I'm a partner at Webisoft, and we build custom software, a lot in AI, a lot of blockchain. We're particularly interested in the manufacturing world, having launched an ERP department this year. We're reselling Odoo, and just interested to talk about business leaders that drive innovative companies and are at the forefront of technology. And so, Chuck, do you want to take a couple minutes, explain who you are, what you do?
Yeah, perfect. Hey, so the Phil, thanks again for having me on the show. It's very exciting and looking forward to today. So I'm Chuck Stovall. I'm CEO and co-founder of Navflex. So I'm coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, where is our global headquarters, but we're also based in Munich, Germany as well. So we're truly an international company solving international problems. So just brief background on the company itself. So we formed technically in at the end of 2019, but really incorporated in Germany in 2020, and we're off to the races. And so what do? We are absolutely 100% an innovation company. So we live, sleep, and breathe innovation in robotics, and we are currently leading the world in AI-empowered large machines, like you see over my shoulder here, that forklifts. And we load and unload trailers. So we solve the trailer loading and unloading bottleneck and warehousing bottleneck of automation with advanced AMRs that are AI empowered and think, drive, and work like humans. And so we're growing and have some great companies that we're working with and continue to go solve the unique problems both in Europe, across Western and even Eastern Europe. That we have some opportunities we're working on in Australasia as well, and then really just doing a great job of launching and getting traction here in North America too. So
Great.
we're about Navflex.
What was the hardest part about starting a business during COVID?
Oh, great question. Well, it's actually ironic because there's three founders. So there's myself. I have the privilege of leading the business, the strategy, making sure we have money and customers, right? And then Dr. Wong, he's a past UPenn professor. He is a Occam University, the MIT of Germany professor, and also a current adjunct Southeastern professor, which is the MIT of China. And then there's Slava Trechkov, and Slava is the CTO and my co-founder based in Germany, and he built the world's first self-parking yacht. So Yamping and I during
Self-parking
COVID,
yacht. Let's talk
yeah,
about that for a
self-parking
second.
yacht. That's what so Slava's a big, tall Russian German, one of my best friends in the world. When he said when we the idea came to him, and the problem found us, Phil, not the other way around. While we have people from MIT, Berkeley, Oxford, some of the best schools in this world, we are not a spinoff from any of those. We were not formed in the lab and then a robotics company trying to say where is a problem we need to go solve. The problem found us, and we built our first prototype, which is actually one just like this, world's first pallet stacker for loading and unloading. Yep. So we built that at our first customer site. And so we fall in love with the problem. We're customer obsessed, and we became subject matter experts at going in and out of trailers, which really means making robots do confined spaces that are dynamic and chaotic. But your question was around COVID. What was it like? So my other co-founder, Dr. Wong, and I actually started another company that was two others just prior to COVID. One was a LiDAR distributorship that's still in existence.
Hmm.
Shout out to MorpheusTEK. You guys need any help there? The MorpheusTEK crew will definitely help you with LiDAR, sensors, navigation, you name it, in North America.
Tesla could need that.
Yeah, for sure. And then we started another company called Stepbotics. So in the Chinese culture, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with one, right? And so it's
Hmm.
all about climbing mountains. So we came up with Stepbotics. Morpheus survived, but Stepbotics ended because of COVID. It really killed us, and trying to be a robotic distributor, bringing mostly Asian technology to the U.S., didn't survive. But in that, what happened is Slava and myself and Yamping, we actually met Slava at the end of 2019. We were able to discuss really the problems and challenges he had. And then it really worked as an impetus to just say, let's form a company. Let's form Navflex. Let's bring the three powers together and truly go after this. So while it was really hard to raise money and to arguably get customer traction in COVID, when you're solving a big enough problem, and we did it pretty quick. We got on and off of trailers pretty fast, Phil. It would really centered to a scenario where coming out of COVID, we were killing it. Just so much traction and so much opportunity that we just started moving forward fast. And so it was difficult, like anything, anybody you're talking to, but it actually made us a stronger company. And what I will tell you is any basically automation within the supply chain. So warehouses, trucking, third party logistics, anything that freight's made or moved was a benefit of COVID. And so the reason that you in Montreal or anybody else anywhere in the world couldn't get freight or get what they were ordering was mostly because of supply chain. So the high tide rises all ships. COVID caused a lot of problems, but it ended up really changing automation and putting renewed emphasis from investment and from purchasing standpoints and from innovation priority following COVID, and we're a beneficiary of that.
That's great. So you touched on it earlier a little bit, but how would you describe a typical day for you as CEO?
A typical day. Wow. So it's actually so what I would say. So first of all, for me personally, I plan every day and try to have a strategy of at least focus every single day, and I start that every night. So every night it's what is the next plan for the next day, and I stack rate things that are most important. What is critical to the success of this company, short term and long term, and then what is there that I need to make sure that's critical to Chuck, both my family and myself. And I try to stick to that every day. And I say try because then there's what we call the fires, core
Yeah.
power,
Yeah.
constant. And so what I, as leading this company, have to make sure is that we're putting out the right fires, because we have a very firm belief field at this company, and we even have it written on the wall in our office. Navlex does not have problems. We have never had a single problem. We only have opportunities. And so I lead the company from that perspective. Everything, I don't care if you get a flat tire on the way to work or one of the robots crashes into a trailer. This is an opportunity always to be a better company, a better person, or supply a better product to our customers. And so we everything I do is about that. But on a typical day, it can be making really great decisions that can impact and empowering the team to do amazing things, and maybe makes us a unicorn within a year. Or it can also be reacting to, if we don't fix this, we might not have a company in a week. And it's that balance, right? That you have to make sure that you're doing. So the things such as making sure you have insurance, and the questions and the inspection, that if we don't get the insurance done, we lose our liability insurance and we'll never be able to install a robot, to a strategic partner that's one of the largest CPG brands in the world asking us to move extremely fast and figuring out a plan of how can we do that with the concurrent constraints of tariffs, manufacturing, and the size of our team. So these are the things that we balance, and especially as a CEO, as you know, as a business owner, you have to really make sure you're making the right strategic decisions. And then, really, what is my job? I lift speed blocks and flatten road bump, speed bumps, and then lift roadblocks. That's really what I do for the team. So I also have to make sure that I'm very clear with the team. What do you need? How do I help? What resources do we need to get? What knowledge do we not have? Who do we need to go find to either make the next milestone, make the next sale, or do the next breakthrough in our products? And so every day is a balance of trying to coordinate all of those things.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for your company in 2026?
The biggest challenge for our company in 2026 by far is managing scale. So we have
Mm.
a lot of opportunity and a fast growing team. But I would say that I have some very good mentors helping guide me and guide our leadership team, and also guide Navflex as a whole. And some of the biggest mistakes that automation companies have, because we have hardware. Now, Phil, we are absolutely a software company. We try not to drill a hole or turn a bolt on any of these vehicles you see behind us, but reality is there's hardware involved with robots, right? And that's what we do. We make
Hmm.
AI. And so from that perspective, with us, it's always about, we're trying to balance how what is the objective that we're trying to accomplish, and then how do we make sure that it fits into our thesis and just we're innovating and really providing the service with software. And so, from that perspective, what is the single biggest challenge? It's around not making mistakes, as I was alluding to, that what we've seen in general automation hardware companies. You scale too quickly, you get too big of a building, hire too many people, get too many resources. In other words, we don't want to be the Peloton of robotics, right? In warehouse. And so we're being very smart and we're trying to lean in and really work with customers that understand the innovation journey. So that is our single biggest problem. I'd say our second biggest challenge in 2026 is the AI models and the LLMs of how we're training the robots. The technology with Gemini or Grok is moving so quickly. Things are happening in 2 weeks that took 2 years previously. And so to make sure all of our AI is led by Dr. Austin, one of the smartest roboticists and AI, physical AI, embodied AI experts in the world, amazing, amazing human, and along with Slava Trechkov and Dr. Wong, my two co-founders, and making sure we're staying ahead, we're leveraging the right models, we're using the data correctly, and to keep the competitive advantage, but also to innovate fast. Because right now, Phil, it's amazing how fast companies like ours and yours can innovate using the right tools. But you can't only rely on those tools, right? That you still need to check the code and other stuff. So that's our two biggest by far.
Yeah, we've noticed.
What's that?
We've noticed that you have to check the code. Yes.
Yes, sir, for sure. So that's our biggest challenges for 2026.
How do you? So you mentioned you leverage commercial models. Yeah, and I assume that kind of plugs into a bit of a proprietary blend that you have. How do you interact? I guess with the existing models, and how does like one big update affect your company? Like, how much better does your product get essentially if Gemini, suddenly becomes that much smarter?
So that's a great question. We can't rely. I mean, Gemini's not anywhere close to or Grok or any other models to really writing code for robots. I mean, we have an investor the other day that asked me. He says, "Well, can't ChatGPT put you out of business?" I mean, it's different and it's not there yet, right?
Hmm.
So for us, it's about making sure we have the right data on and off the trailer and the right data for all the loads. So it's not just trailers; it's this environment. It's chaotic, all the things that move, and we rely on localization and all kinds of things because our environment changes so much. So it's taking all this data, shifting loads, how trailers are crooked. We do curtain trailers, which are soft-trotted trailers in Europe. They blow, they're bent, they shake, they go up and down. Collecting all of this stuff, and then the models that Dr. Austin and the team has built, and what we then train on is about really what most robotic companies are doing or used to do is really around tuning. So
Yeah.
the way we use models is used to you would everything was solved with algorithms in robots, right? It's just all algorithms. You figure it out with algorithms. With the advent of AI, you still have algorithms. I mean, there's no such thing as a fully AI robot. Even humanoids from Unitree or agility or anything like that. They still are algorithm based. But what we're able to do with some of these new models now, Phil, is where we would manually tune, where we would say, I've got to change the calibration of this camera. I've got to do this because of this action, the way this trailer was, the way this load shifted. We can start pulling that data into the model and start refining and tuning and making changes there fast with engineers still checking the code and engineers and our engineering team still monitoring the entire process, right? That's really what we're doing. So a way that to explain it probably in layman's terms, like the team would say to me, right, is we're doing some of the fine tuning thing that took hours. Took days and weeks. We're able to do in hours because we have the data and we have the models. That's what's different right now. And really, that's only been possible in the last 6 months. And it really has.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every week for us, like obviously as a software development company, um, every week we're kind of amazed as to how fast things are improving, right? And getting to the point where the job kind of shifts towards more of the business analyst slash architecture and more on the QA side than actual programming. Um, But you're absolutely right. Like you have to, whatever you give the AI, you really have to be there. Like there needs to be a human in the loop still for every step of the way. Otherwise, like you build a bad foundation, and then you build worse layer above another worse layer, and it becomes it gets out of hand a little bit. Um, what's a piece of technology that you see coming up in manufacturing that you're super excited about that you think is going to be a game changer? And it could be one of your products, by the way, if you want to talk about that. But what's going to be a game changer for the next couple of years?
um, game changer. So let's start with what we do first, right? So our product, what makes our product game changer, and what you see over my shoulder here is the world's first single double loading and unloading counterbalance AMR. So we don't rely on fixed locations. The robots make its own decision. Every robot that you see here makes H1 smarter. But what does that really mean? It means we can take two pallets stacked all the way to the ceiling and go through a door of a trailer like you see behind me here, a door like that, and we can go within a centimeter on each side. I mean, absolute precision, and we're talking almost 2.5 tons that we're pushing through that door. So only the best humans can do this, and the best humans don't stick around.
Yeah.
So what's game changing in our world? This is the supply chain bottleneck of trailer loading and unloading. It's the last mile of automation. There's been automated forklifts for a long time. They've been around for over 20 years, but they can't go into trailers, right? And this is where now trucks are coming, where they can go on the road. It's the DOT will approve it, that kind of stuff. We actually are in Outriders facility. We sublease from them. They're an autonomous truck company here in Denver, Colorado. And so from that perspective, what we really see is our product, and we're already seeing it making a huge difference within warehouse. It's game changing, and we literally use that term, right? Revolutionary, innovation. Uh, but that's in our world. That's so think of manufacturers, third party logistics, anywhere where pallets move. In robotics in general, and automation in general, what I primarily see and what our team sees is really game changers, is uh, innovation mostly of sensors. And what I mean by that is the cost of sensors is coming down and the quality is increasing so much, even with the geopolitical environment of tariffs and everything like that. What it's doing is putting robots and the physical side of robots in the realm of being able to have mass deployments. So what is game changing? Let's take LiDAR, for instance. We don't have them, it's installed on this vehicle here, but we use 3D high accuracy long range LiDAR. It's actually the one we use is created by my co-founder, Dr. Wong. But 5 years ago, those were $40,000 a piece. Now they're under 3,000, and in 2 years they'll be under 1,000. And we're talking we can map up to 200 meters away with less than half a millimeter. That's how accurate this is. It can see an earring in someone's ear from the league football field, and we can generate a point cloud from this. Then you look at IMUs, you look at the safety lidar, computers. Let's use computers for example. So we have arguably one of the most hopped up computers you can possibly get. We're running the NVIDIA L4 module, which is the top of the line. We have $9,000 computers in here. Now that is arguably overkill, but we compute so much and speeds everything. We have chose to go that route. Um, that
Yeah.
that computer and that module will be half that cost in 2 years and twice the power. Right. So what is it allowing things to do? We're able to do things and process things on a robot, on a mobile robot that moves, that you couldn't have done with the best desktop made and that stack of servers 5 years ago. That's what's game changing, Phil. And it's happening. You're seeing it happen crazily in the humanoid world. Humanoids, because of the ability to do computation and vision, it's really around vision at a low enough cost. You're seeing companies like Unitree and Tesla saying they're going to be making humanoids in the market for less than 10,000 US. That's game changing because that's mass adoption. You break the barriers of ROI and you break the barriers of mass adoption because it's no longer a 3-year capex of a company to decide what they're going to do. It's sure, I've got 10 grand, I'll just buy some.
Yep.
And that's what we're
You
seeing.
could,
And same
yeah,
thing.
decide to buy one this month. Oh, let's try it. So affordability
Correct.
and mass adoption essentially are the
Correct. And it's really coming down.
what you're most excited about.
Yeah, it's really coming down to mostly the sensors and the computers, right? The base is going to be there. whatever that robot base looks like, whether it's a bipedal humanoid or a wheeled humanoid or a forklift or a ant that moves omnidirectional. The metal and that and the cost of manufacturing, that's we've probably exceeded, and it's going to continue to arguably rise. But it's the sensors. It's what makes robots robots, and how they and the computers that run. That's what's changing, and that's game changing.
How far away do you think we are from having robots be able to do like more like human like activities, right? In terms of dexterity and precision.
I just recently came from a couple of conferences, and last week I was at A3, I was at BSGA, couple of, and this is always a topic, there's actually surveys they did at both conferences. When will humanoids actually be deployed? And so the general idea is what's limiting them. There's really three things. There's the core technology of the actual physical robot, which we're getting very close. And this is
Yeah.
a humanoid or even mass adoption. Let's say doing human type stuff, like arguably what we do with our forklifts and our pallet jacks and our pallet stacker. We make three things. But there's the core body itself. Then there's the ability to manipulate and do things in your environment. So in a humanoid realm, it'd be the hands, the complex movements, that kind of stuff, right? And so being able to do that and arguably process what you're doing. So learn, be able to be trained, teach and repeat, make it a simple enough model where it can interact in an environment the same way a human would, or a baby that grabs things and learns.
Yeah.
And then the third is really around in the ecosystem of how these robots are able to integrate within human environments, whether it be a workforce or even in your home. And that's around safety standards and protocols. So the first, what we see as a company, and we're involved in a lot of this stuff, and we're working on humanoid stuff as well, for some complex trailer type applications. Because we don't like the word human in the loop, Phil. Our customers don't want humans in the loop. They just want robots to do everything. So we're working on a project. But the general idea is that the first of the actual robot platforms, it's very close to being solved with the motion control, the multi-axis, whether it be arms, whether it be
Yeah.
a mobile robot that can interact for security within human environments, doing human type tasks. That technology is getting pretty close, and we have some really good manufacturers in the world making the things that enable that. So then if you look at the second, the core, how can robots interact and be learned and taught in that environment? That's back to like the beginning of our conversation where we're really where AI is going and how LLMs and new ones are being created and data, data is that's the next mine. That's the opportunity for companies like us. Our data is worth more than our robots, really, right? And as we
True.
build models, yeah, in many cases that's the real case. And then who owns the data when you're collecting it? How do you ensure privacy and what's upstream, downstream, all that kind of stuff. So then that's coming. I personally feel that uh, everybody like us is rushing towards that getting robots that teach themselves. And we're getting very close. I mean, we do that already. And then robots that teach other robots, right? So completely eliminate the human in the loop and get away from the teach and repeat. That was the great term for companies like us. Move a robot around, teach it, and then it just does it, right? But in complex environments, it's got to be the robot understanding the environment. So that's coming as well. I'd say we're really for mass adoption, humanoids or anything else, we're at least 2 to 3 years out on that. But then here's the killer, Phil. So you're in Canada, we're in America, all of North America. You look at Europe, major regulations of how any of these technology integrates with humans. So in other words, having a humanoid standing beside me right now doing a task, having one of our robots moving in with other forklifts or people walking. So we have to, as a company, meet the standard. It's called ISO 3691 and
Yeah.
which we have all that. That's the highest standard in the world and it's certified by TUV. And then in the North America, it's ANSI, ANSI, and we meet the B56.1 and 56.5 for confined spaces as well. These standards are written for big robots. They're not written for small robots in a home, in a hospital, in really human in the loop type environments or a cobotic environment where you have lots of humans moving in and out. So that is where organizations like A3, the main robotic organization, nonprofit in the United States, they are working to try to figure out with companies like Boston Dynamics, SICK that makes Lacha LiDAR, because we're probably at least 4 years out, Phil, before there's standards and there is good safety on humanoids to where a 150-pound to 300-pound humanoid can run alongside you and climb a ladder beside you, and you can ensure that it won't do damage to you or the environment or harm someone or God forbid, cause a fatality, right? So that is gonna be, in my opinion, and we're heavily involved in safety. We've got safety experts working for us, and we're contracted in China and here and in Italy and Germany. That is gonna be, I think, and our safety team would tell you, it's the safety and the interoperability with humans that is gonna slow down the technology, not the other. And that's 4 years out.
So you think the technology will be ready before regulations catch up?
Yes, to have true robots working with, say, having a humanoid cleaning restrooms in a school or in an airport where
Yeah.
it's walking around with people. Yes, that is gonna be regulations, and not just regulations. It's the same reason that the technology exists for semi trucks to drive on autonomously on the road right now, or cars, right? And we obviously
Yeah.
cars anywhere in the United States. You only have Waymo in what the Bay Area and Arizona, and now I think it's coming to Chicago. That is the problem. That's where mass adoption to robots. We're in the same spot as autonomous vehicles, whether it be commercial over the road or passenger vehicles. We're in the same spot. The regulations and the safety standards, and arguably the safety technology to ensure there are no fatalities or no human injuries or no property damage. That is what is going to slow down the mass adoption, and that's at least 4 to 5 years out.
Yeah, I've always thought insurance in general is kind of the blocker, right? Even for EVs and autonomous vehicles is like, okay, so car drives itself, there's an accident, who's at fault? Like, is it the driver? Is it the company behind the AI powering the car? So that's an interesting question. I'm not sure it's been resolved or where it's at in their reflection so far, but that's going to be interesting problems for the future.
You know what will solve that? Lawsuits. That's what that's what figures out who's responsible. Ultimately, attorneys, right? So
Let's ask ChatGPT what it thinks. Who should
yeah,
be responsible?
good call, Phil. Good call.
Yeah. Um, anything keeping you up at night?
Oh gosh, where's the list start? Well, let me think about this morning. I was up at 2 this morning. So what is keeping me up? Uh, so all the day to day, we're hiring. Especially with operating in Europe, there's so many regulations and hiring practices and tax things in Europe. Always managing through those to make sure we don't miss some deadline that costs us thousands of dollars. Those kind of things keep us up all night. Figuring out a way to get it. Our scanner, we're doing a deployment, and a scanner broke, and there's not one in the U.S. And how do we get one? And we fly someone from Asia over tomorrow night. These kind of things, right? But really, that's all solvable. Those are fires. You put good people and good energy behind those. Those things are solved. The biggest single thing that really keeps me personally up at night is really missed opportunities, and then empowerment of the team. And so what I mean by missed opportunities first is when I lie awake thinking, did we make the right decision? Are we saying no to that customer? Was that the right choice, even though the logo was so enticing? Did we make the right decision on how our rear camera system works and going that route, or even doing a single double when it's boiling the ocean? It's so difficult. Are we making the right decisions technologically wise, customer wise, or and it's all around opportunity costs. There's a massive window, but it will close. Uh, you know, Competition will eventually catch up, and then we have opportunities to move in so many different other areas as well as we expand our technology. So always, you don't second guess yourself as a CEO. You don't. You make the best decisions you have with the information you have, and you move forward.
Mhm.
But you have to be able to pivot when you know that you made the choice could have been better. You need to pivot and not keep going down the same path, just hoping you're going to get a better result. Right, the definition of insanity. And so that keeps me up at night. Do we make the right decisions? Are we on the right track? Or 2 weeks ago, should we have said, because I was thinking maybe we wanted to do it this way. So those kind of things, and then empowering the team. We have the best. I will say we have the best roboticist engineers in the face of the earth working for us. Some of the best business development people, and some of the best deployment and service people and customer obsessed focused people Our team is absolutely amazing. And so my superpower is bringing that team together, but keeping that team working. So I keep up at night. Did Nywan feel rewarded for pulling an all-nighter in Dayton, Ohio last week when it was freezing cold and they shut down all the roads? Does Mike Duddleston, our chief revenue officer, does he have what he needs to keep going, knowing that he's getting job offers from all these other people, and he's saying no because he believes in the
Yeah.
mission, right? Do they understand where we're going and there's light on the horizon? Because the startup sounds great until everybody wants to be in a startup till you have to do startup stuff. So I lie awake making sure the team is happy and fulfilled and challenged. And I can confidently tell you, in less than 4 years, we've only had one person leave the company. So I like to think we're doing some of that right, but it does keep me awake because the team is absolutely the most important thing because we don't have a robot without a team.
No, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Exactly. Exactly.
We'll see. No, this was a great answer. Final question for you, Chuck. If you could change one thing about the industry you're in, like you had a magic wand and you could magically change something overnight, what would it be?
Wow. Um, Robots in general, automation in general, or you want supply chain automation that we do?
It could be supply chain. It could be just manufacturing in general, like whatever you feel like you'd have a more interesting answer to.
Uh, okay, that's a really good question. Um, I would say in supply chain for us, if we could wave a wand and have everything just miraculously be better. For supply chain in general would be access to the data we need. So if I
Okay.
could wave a wand tomorrow and have the leaders of companies across the United States that have forklifts moving around that are doing something with trailers or pallets, and have them and let me install our equipment on every single one of those so we can collect the data and we can get past we're not going to take pictures of people's faces and we're not collecting information and we're not going to put this on the web, that because data is absolutely everything right now. If we can wave a magic wand, that's what I would ask for. I wouldn't ask for more money. I wouldn't ask for more opportunities. I wouldn't ask for the technology to be easier. We like challenges. I would ask for the data. And that's in supply chain. And I would argue, really, like CEOs of robotics companies should answer the same question because it's data that's going to win. You're going to win in the service that you provide to customers, which means you're going to win in the market. So how we can get more data for edge cases and all that. That's what I would ask for if we wave a magic wand.
So data providers, I hope you're listening to this. There's a big
Yes.
opportunity, perhaps.
Yes, sir.
Chuck, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome, Phil. It's an honor meeting you, man. I'm really, really excited to see where this goes.
Me too.